A cold wind pressed against the cracked windows of Miller's diner as the sun struggled to rise behind gray clouds. It was the kind of morning that felt heavy, like life had forgotten to give it color. Inside, the smell of burnt coffee and buttered toast floated through the empty booths. At the far corner, near the window nobody chose unless they had nowhere else to sit, an old woman arrived. She came every morning, always alone, always quiet, wearing the same long black coat and a silver brooch shaped like a feather. She carried sadness in her eyes like someone who once had everything, then lost it without warning. Her name was Charlotte Hayes, and every morning she sat in the same booth. And every morning, one person noticed her. Her name was Sophia Weaver, a young waitress barely getting by, but still managing to smile at everyone no matter how heavy life became. Sophia wasn't like the other waitresses. Most came for a paycheck, but Sophia came for something else. Maybe a reason to keep believing that people could still be good. She had learned early in life that the world doesn't hand out blessings easily. She grew up with little, lost her parents young, struggled through foster homes, and now at 26, she survived on tips that barely paid for rent. But she had a heart that refused to break. And every day when she looked at Charlotte sitting alone with trembling hands, something inside Sophia knew this woman needed kindness more than coffee. Sophia first noticed Charlotte 2 months ago. The old woman never ordered more than tea and dry toast. She counted coins one by one from an old purse, and her hands shook as though they carried the weight of years no one else could see. Most customers ignored her. Some pitied her, but nobody spoke to her. Sophia wasn't sure why, but she felt drawn to Charlotte, not out of curiosity, but compassion. There was something about the old woman's loneliness that reminded Sophia of her own reflection during the nights she cried quietly in her small apartment. So Sophia began to help her. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, gently. She brought Charlotte warm toast instead of cold. She refilled her tea without charging. Sometimes she slipped an extra muffin onto her plate. At first, Charlotte tried to refuse, embarrassed, but Sophia always smiled and said it was a diner promotion or cook special. They both knew it wasn't true, but neither of them said it out loud. Day after day, their unspoken friendship grew. Sophia learned Charlotte loved reading by lamplight, that she once lived near the ocean, and that she used to smile a lot. Charlotte learned that Sophia worked double shifts because she had no family to help her, that she walked home to save money because her car died months ago, and that despite everything, Sophia believed kindness always came back one day. But Charlotte never spoke about her past, about who she was or what she once had. It was as if she had erased entire chapters of her life. Then one morning, Sophia found Charlotte sitting at her booth with red eyes. She had been crying. When Sophia gently asked if she was all right, Charlotte finally whispered something unexpectedly painful. She had nowhere to live anymore. She had been evicted from her apartment and didn't know where she would go. That night, she said softly, she would sleep in an old bus station. Sophia didn't even think. She reached over and held Charlotte's hand. Something inside her broke. She didn't have extra money, didn't have savings, didn't even have a car, but she couldn't let this woman disappear into the cold. That evening after work, Sophia walked Charlotte home, not to a bus station, but to her own apartment. She cleared space, gave Charlotte her own bed, and slept on the couch. For the next week, she shared her food, washed Charlotte's clothes, and helped her search for assistance programs. Charlotte had tears in her eyes more than once. She kept asking why Sophia was doing this. Sophia only answered because no one helped me when I needed it. But I survived because I believed someone would someday. One morning, a week later, Charlotte didn't come to the diner. Sophia grew worried. The next day, still no Charlotte. On the third day, panic began crawling under her skin. She rushed home after her shift only to find Charlotte gone. Her room was empty, the bed neatly made, but there was a note on the pillow. "Thank you for giving me back hope, Charlotte." No address, no explanation, nothing. Sophia stared at the note and felt a crushing ache. She didn't know why it hurt so much. Charlotte had walked out of her life as suddenly as she had walked in. Sophia feared something bad had happened to her. She called hospitals, shelters. No one had seen her. Weeks passed, then a month, and one quiet afternoon, everything changed. It was a slow Tuesday morning at the diner. Sophia was wiping tables when a convoy of black SUVs pulled up outside. 4 men in suits stepped out, clearly bodyguards. The entire diner fell silent as they walked inside. Behind them came 2 lawyers in tailored coats. They looked around the diner like they were searching for someone. Then one lawyer stepped forward and asked, "Is there a Sophia Weaver here?" Sophia froze. The entire diner looked at her. "Yes," she said cautiously. "That's me, Miss Weaver," the lawyer said calmly. "We've been instructed to bring you with us." Sophia's heart pounded. "Why? What happened?" "You will understand shortly. Please come with us." Fear twisted inside her, but something deeper, like a strange pull of fate, made her follow them. The SUV door closed behind her, and in minutes they were driving through the wealthiest part of town. Gated estates, security cameras, perfectly manicured lawns. It was another world. They stopped at a massive mansion surrounded by tall trees and silence. One of the bodyguards opened the door as if Sophia were royalty. Inside, soft piano music echoed faintly through the grand halls. The lawyers led her to a room where enormous windows revealed a snow-covered garden. In the center of the room sat Charlotte Hayes, wearing a beautiful lavender dress, her hair neatly styled, her eyes bright. Sophia gasped. Charlotte smiled and said gently, "Hello, dear." Everything froze. Sophia stumbled forward. She was overwhelmed, relieved, confused, and emotional all at once. Charlotte explained everything. She was not a poor homeless widow. She was the sole heir to Hayes International, one of the largest private investment firms in the country. She had more wealth than she ever wanted. But she lost her husband and her only son in a tragic accident 2 years ago. The grief consumed her. She disappeared from her company and from public life. She walked away from everything: money, power, responsibility. She wanted to know, did kindness still exist in the world? Or was it something money had only pretended to buy for her? So she vanished and lived like a nobody. That's when she met Sophia, someone who didn't know who she was, someone who didn't want anything from her, someone who shared everything she had, even when she had almost nothing. Charlotte reached out and held Sophia's hands, just as Sophia had once held hers. Then she said something that changed Sophia's life forever. "I do not need a maid. I do not need a nurse. I need a heart I can trust. I want you by my side, Sophia, not as an employee, but as family. If you accept, everything I have will one day be yours, not because of blood, but because of love. You reminded me why life is still worth living." Sophia stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. For years she felt alone in this world, but in that moment she realized something beautiful. You never know who you are meant to meet, whose life you might change or who might change yours. They embraced like 2 souls who had found each other in a universe of loneliness. Because sometimes all it takes is one act of kindness to turn a stranger into family, to turn loneliness into love, and to remind us that no one is ever truly forgotten.